Senator Joe Manchin, who claims to care about climate change, while also taking every single effort to stop climate change, in the name of inflation, so he says, has no problem taking federal money for himself and using it to help his own area. Now, this is according to public records reviewed by The Intercept, and they reveal that Manchin, the Manchin family, he and his wife, Gail, have directed millions of dollars in federal money to a very small, pristine valley in West Virginia, where they just happen to own a condo. Oh, big surprise. Big surprise. This condo, of course, in this area that it is located in, is one of the areas that is untouched by the coal companies that have removed mountaintops to get at this coal, which destroys the local environment in the process, and then, of course, digs up that coal and ships it off to be burned, exacerbating climate change. The Manchin's Cannon Valley residence sits in an unadulterated watershed surrounded by the Dolly Sods Wilderness, the Cannon Valley National Wildlife Refuge, and Blackwater Falls State Park. By the way, all of those protected areas are areas that Joe Manchin fought against protecting. Just think of the irony there, right? Against the rules established by the Clean Water Act, by the EPA. Now, the couple purchased their condo in Davis, West Virginia back in 2011, according to the title. In 2018, Manchin then used his spot on the powerful Senate Appropriations Committee to secure $7 million to rebuild the visitor center at the Cannon Valley National Wildlife Refuge, less than a mile from his condo. In addition to the conference rooms, museum-style exhibits, and a bookstore, the new space also houses offices for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which maintains the the valley's natural landscape and stocks the streams that Manchin, an avid trout fisher, wades in. So there's $7 million. Okay, sure. Oh, wait, but there's more. Manchin also used his position to secure another $8 million earmark to build a new water treatment facility in Cannon Valley as part of an omnibus spending bill. So water treatment facility there. Now that's relevant because we're going to get to how bad West Virginia's water supplies really are. Now, at the same time, let's talk about Gail. Gail Manchin, who was appointed by the Biden administration to head the Appalachian Regional Commission last year. I wonder if they could use that for leverage. No, Joe Biden using leverage against Joe Manchin to get him to do something? Oh, come on. No, that'll never happen. Now, that commission recently secured another $25,000 in funding for source water analysis in that same valley and a $1.2 million power grant, which has nothing to do with power. It actually just connects and improves trails in the area. Now, I don't have any problem with, of course, any of these improvements in those areas. Of course not. My issue is, of course, how the rest of the state is faring. But we'll get to that. First, as Sledge reported back in March, since assuming leadership of the commission, Gail Manchin has directed millions of dollars in federal grants to projects tied to her own personal investments, which include a $1.5 million grant to the Appalachian Investors Alliance, whose director, Mike Green, also chairs an investment LLC that Gail is invested in and sits on the board of a startup that she holds stock in. Oh, look at that. Gail also directed hundreds of thousands of dollars to West Virginia Regional Technology Park Corporation, whose treasurer, Jack Rossi, also happens to be the longtime treasurer for Joe Manchin's campaign and leadership PAC. But I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Of course it is, right? No. Look, the couple have been doing this to help themselves, to make it so they have a really nice place for them to live while not helping any West Virginians or anyone else in this country have nice places to live. Now, remember, the provisions inside of Build Back Better, which Manchin had killed, were incredibly popular among West Virginians. It would have helped their quality of life, as well as the majority of Americans. Again, Manchin killed that. He killed any action on climate change, and then has the balls to take public money to make sure the area around his condo is all nice and beautiful. Understand that this is what conservatism looks like. This is selfishness. I only care if it affects me. Joe Manchin is a Republican. He is a conservative and a corporatist. Only cares about himself. Now, as far as everything else, again, we saw the news. Oh, Europe's on fire. Sad day for them. My backyard is so nice. I can go fishing. Oh, do the communities in my area not have clean water? Oh, well, I have clean water, so I don't really care. Now, speaking of clean water, a 2019 study found that West Virginia had among the worst in the nation for drinking water violations. This is a 2019 study that found that West Virginia, 36 of the state's 55 counties had water that violated the Safe Water Drinking Act, that was polluted. In Clarksburg, West Virginia specifically, you had lead levels in their water that measured in the tens to sometimes 100 times higher than the federal standard. So, yeah, hey, nice drinking water for me because I had a water treatment plant, that was installed near my condo. But the rest of the state, no, I don't care about you. No. Around 80%, this is according to an analysis, of the places where they found water contamination in West Virginia, guess what? Guess where they were? Rural areas. Because of course, right? Joe Manchin screwing over his own voters in rural areas, making sure that they do not have clean drinking water. But he gets all the clean drinking water and he gets all the pristine land. Because of course he does. So now the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which by the way, he did vote for, okay, that put forward about $55 billion for water infrastructure. That's generally a good thing, right? But that's general infrastructure for the entirety of the country. Now, Build Back Better, which he killed, would have added an additional $9 billion specifically for lead remediation projects through the EPA and nearly $1 billion more through the USDA, specifically for disadvantaged rural communities. Like the 80% of West Virginia that has contaminated water. But he killed that. No, I think it's very obvious from his actions that Joe Manchin doesn't give a damn about anyone but himself. He'll use government money when it suits him, when it helps him, but when it could theoretically impact their donors, and especially his bottom line, well, that's when Joe Manchin suddenly cares so much about fiscal responsibility and about inflation that I'm sorry, I just can't in good conscience vote for this bill. No, it's corruption. That's who Joe Manchin is. He does nothing but serve himself and his donors.